Hi, I'm Mary Mulcahy and I'm a master gardener from McKean County. I'm going to show you how you can use celery to study the function of stems and leaf veins and also to see how plants regrow. You'll need some celery for this activity. Remove the innermost celery stalks, the ones that are often smaller and are light green. Save the base of your celery bunch for an activity that we'll discuss at the end of this video. Before we begin the activity, I want to orient you to a celery stalk. Each celery stalk is actually one leaf. On the left I have some celery stalks, on the right I have a magnolia leaf. The bottom part of a celery stalk is where the celery stalk is attached to the plant. It's actually considered part of the leaf and it's called a petiole. The top part of a celery is the leaf blade, and it may look like it's multiple leaf blades, but it's actually only one leaf blade that is divided into multiple smaller parts. We call that a compound leaf. The magnolia leaf has just one piece to its leaf blade, and we call it a simple leaf. Oh dear, my cat photobombed this picture. You don't need a cat for this activity. But this gives me a moment to pause and say again that the celery stalk is actually a petiole. It's not a true plant stem. Petiole is part of the leaf. But it's a really good model for stem function. It acts a lot like a stem in this particular case. So this activity, we're going to use a petiole to explore plant stem function. To do this activity, all you need to do is put some water in a cup with some food coloring. I did it with 2 stems, so 1 cup with green food coloring and 1 cup with red food coloring. I put a lot of food coloring in so it's more dramatic. So I started this experiment on a hot sunny day and I set my cups out in the sun, and within just a half an hour this happened. And maybe you've done this experiment before. What's happened is the dye has moved from the bottom of the cup all the way to the top of the leaves, and as that water has evaporated out of the leaves, the dye has actually become concentrated, has been left behind as that water gets evaporated, and so there's a lot of dye in the leaves, and it's pretty neat. What's really fun is to cut open those stems and then look a little more closely at how the water moves in the plant. So with a grown-up's help, you can cut open your celery, and this is just a close-up view of it. And why is it that the dye has clustered in these little dots, like this one, or like this one over here in the green stem? Those are the veins of the petiole, which are a lot like the veins of a stem. So again, one of the functions of a stem and one of the functions of the veins of a leaf is to transport substances. In this experiment, we're focusing on the transport of water, and water is transported in a special tissue, tube-like tissue that's microscopic, called xylem. I think xylem is such a fun word. First of all, it begins with the letter X, just like the word xylophone. So the way you spell xylem is X-Y-L-E-M. I also think it's just fun to say. So xylem is a specialized tissue that carries water from the roots all the way up to the leaves through a process called transpiration. And transpiration is important to the plant itself. It's obviously important that water be able to move through the plant. It's also important in determining global patterns of weather, because as that water moves through plants and then up into the and is evaporated up into the sky, it forms clouds and then rains back down. So water has a cycle on Earth, and plants play a very important part in that cycle. And that water is moving through these specialized bundles of tissue that includes a variety of different types of tissue, but one of those tissues is xylem. You may have done this experiment before, maybe with flowers like Queen Anne's lace. It's pretty neat to watch the flowers change color. But what I especially like about the celery is the celery really enables you to see those bundles of tissue that move the water. Those are the dots in this image right now. One of the important functions of the stem is to move water from the base of the plant to the top of the plant. The tissues that do that are xylem, and the process is transpiration. Hey, remember the base of the celery that you saved? If you take that base and put it in a cup of water, fill it so that it's got about a half of an inch above the water and the rest of it is below the water, and you put it in the sun or put it by a window and change the water every day. It is important to change the water or the water gets really gross. You can grow a new celery stem, and that illustrates
something really neat about plants, which is that they always, or almost always, are able to regrow because they have these specialized tissues called meristems that always retain the ability to grow. Pretty neat. Thanks.